Welcome to the HohO Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we
Defend the Constitution because freedom matters.
broadcasting from Weaponized Soft Production Studio B. Welcome to the HohO Show, and as always, I'm your host, HohO. So how y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing good. I really do. This episode, I believe, is going to be the last episode in the comments section series, and is probably even going to be the longer episode. This episode, we are talking about Project 2025. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions going around about it, and a lot of misinformation that has been spoken about it, and I'm wanting to do this to kind of clear the air on it. Now, prior to getting a message where one of the listeners expressed concern over Project 2025, I figured I better look into it. And I really haven't looked into it in the past because, well, this isn't something that President Trump has, supported and put his stamp of approval on. That's not to say that there are not, policy recommendations in Project 2025 that President Trump doesn't plan on, putting into place. But the entirety of Project 2025 is not something that he has endorsed. But I also knew where Project 2025 came from. It was something that was put together by the Heritage Foundation. Now, the Heritage Foundation, they have a tool that I use, or at least I used to use on the regular, and that was the Congressional Scorecard, where I could go there, and anybody can go there, and look as to how conservative or liberal are the voting practices of people that are in Washington. You can kind of, get a grade of them, and to see if this is somebody that you want to continue to vote for and continue putting your, stamp of approval on. And in which case, that is great. It's an awesome tool. This is something that I have used in the past. It's a great tool. I recommend doing that. And also, Project 2025, well, this isn't the first time that the Heritage Foundation or any organization has been putting policy recommendations out there for, conservatives to follow, people whom are going into government, to bring our government back to a more constitutional, conservative form of government. In fact, this is something that's been going on since the 1980s. So for the past, 10 administrations, this has been going on. They've been putting out these policy recommendations. Now, so far, looking through this, there's not anything that I have any issues with. Just going to be honest with you, just going to throw that out there. I don't see any issues with anything so far. And all the information that I'm getting comes from project2025.org/truth. That's project2025.org/truth. And I am going to be putting a link to this in the description below. And you could also get a hold of the PDF version of the entire document, and it's 922 pages. Holy crap. I am not going to go through every single one of those. Instead, I'm going to project2025.org/truth, and in here are some of the policy recommendations, a section about debunking the lies in regards to government, civil rights, military and veterans, marriage and family, and other stuff in here as well. Healthcare, education, economy and workers, immigration, and energy and environment. So many sections in here for debunking the lies, true or false, as to what others had said about Project 2025. Now, every single one of these sections that we're going to get into has subsections and even more sections into that, but I'm going to try to make this as quickly as possible. There is a lot of information to go through. I do invite you to head on over to project2025.org/truth and follow along. Again, I will put a link for this down in the description below. So, real policy recommendations. One is to secure the border. Now, as a conservative, as a Republican, I'm sure that this is something that every one of us can stand behind. Of course, we want to secure the border. We think it's kind of crap that all these people are just being allowed to flow across the border. We are a nation of laws. We have a border. We have laws in place. And it's high time we hold people in Washington accountable to upholding and enforcing these laws. Some of the things that it talks about in here is thoroughly enforcing existing immigration laws. Duh, I think we all can agree to that one. Aggressively constructing a wall on the southern border, efficiently identifying and rejecting fraudulent asylum claims. Restoring the Remain in Mexico policy and arresting, detaining, and removing immigration violators anywhere in the United States. Absolutely. I think we all can stand by every one of those policies, those policy recommendations. I'm sure we can. I know I do. The next point in here is unleash American energy, and holy crap, I completely agree with this one. I'm not going to read every single point in here like I did with the last point. But what this more or less amounts to with unleash American energy, look, there is no reason why America is not energy independent. In fact, it is the biggest threat to our national security to be dependent on another nation's oil, energy. I mean, think about it. They can basically, in essence, hold America hostage by either denying us access to their oil or, if they wanted to, just inflating the price well beyond what people at the pump would be able to buy. I mean, they can cripple us. And the fact of the matter is, there's no reason behind it. There really isn't, because underneath our feet in the continuous United States, we have more energy, more oil, more natural gas, more coal than any other single country out there. And once you take once you take Alaska into that, we have more energy under our feet than any other nation combined. There is no reason for America to be dependent upon foreign energy. There just isn't. And why would we want to be? Because whenever it comes to drilling, when it comes to processing and refining oil, we do it cleaner, we do it better, we do it more efficiently than anyone else. Why would you not want America to be the head of doing this? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It really doesn't. And by unleashing American energy, we can drop the price at the pump, making it far more affordable to do this. Now, look, I'm not putting this as a negative against clean energy. We've already talked about that in a previous episode. I'm not going to rehash that now. But the fact of the matter is, we're just not there yet. The technology isn't there yet. The innovation hasn't been done. It's not, financially beneficial to be doing this on a consumer level. We're just not there yet. We are still a nation that is dependent upon oil. And there is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be producing, refining, and using our own oil. There was a time during the Trump presidency that we were energy independent. We were a net exporter of energy, as in we exported more oil than what we brought in. We had lower fuel prices. We had lower prices on everything because, let's just face it, everything arrives to anywhere on the back of a truck. It's just a fact of the matter. It is what it is. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it is still a fact. Everything gets to the shelves, gets to your door through at least one semi, and probably multiple depending upon how intricate the production is of any item that you're buying. I mean, hell, even a simple graphite pencil that has the eraser, the metal, the wood, the graphite, 4 different things in it. You're talking at least like 6 trucks involved in the production of that product. Holy crap. There's no reason why we shouldn't be energy independent. None at all. So a policy recommendation is to unleash American energy. Next is to de-weaponize the federal government and dismantle the deep state. Now, this one is something that is very near and dear to my heart. It really is. We are a nation that was founded with a form of government that was 3 separate but equal branches. You have the judicial branch, the legislative branch, the executive branch. Each had their own duties, and it was a check and balances because they were separate but equal branches, and we no longer have that. Okay, we no longer have that. I'm not going to rehash old episodes where I talk about the role that each branch had, but let's just say that because of the deep state, our congressional men and women, those that are in the House of Representatives and the Senate, they have allowed branches of the, not branches, but departments of the executive branch to do the legislation for them. I've talked about this in the past regarding, the laws and the regulations that have been written between, a certain time frame to where over 95% of the rules that we have to follow as American citizens on a day-to-day was actually made and written not by the legislative branch, which is their constitutional job to do, but were written instead by the executive branch. They don't have the power and the authority to do that. But it was allowed to happen. Why? Well, I think the reason why is kind of simple, because it revolves around plausible deniability. The people in Congress can't be found liable for something that was written by the executive branch. And if the executor doesn't have the power to fire these people and to overhaul these departments, then they themselves neither can be held liable for what these departments write in the form of regulations. It's a plausible deniability. They have written safeguards in there that make it to where the only thing that could be done is defunding, and, well, the closest thing to immortality is a government program. Those type of things just don't happen. Because, let's face it, they all get kickbacks on this. That's why they do this. Here's the new boss, the same as the old boss. It doesn't matter who you elect into power. These people that are in these bureaucracies, they all stay the same, and what they want is more power. And that's why you've never seen a change. All you get is more and more bureaucrats holding more and more power, technocrats and everything else, and it's wrong. It needs to be dismantled. And it goes beyond these various bureaucracies and technocrats, doesn't it? It does. Because it also goes into the form of NGOs or non-government organizations, people whom get paid government money to do things that may be more questionable as to the legality of the jobs that they are tasked with doing. And yes, those type of things happen. And yeah, this type of thing should be done away with. It should be ended. We need to get control of the federal government and start to dwindle these different agencies, dismantle the deep state. This really does need to be done because we are no longer a people that are free. I mean, think about it. 95% of all the rules and regulations that you have to follow on a day-to-day were not written by the legislative branch. And according to the Constitution, the job of legislation is to be done by Congress, not by the executive branch. They don't have the power. They don't have the authority. but it is allowed to happen. Regardless of how you vote, these people are protected. They operate outside the control of the people, and that's unconstitutional. That was never the way that our founding fathers designed it to be. This was a fourth branch that was put into place to screw over the American people and to force you to pay for it. I mean, that's the reality of it. Okay, moving on. Improve education. Now, this is, again, something that I've talked about previously. And I am a huge supporter of, the voucher system, where the money, instead of going directly to the school of the district that the child goes to school, that money should follow the child. Because let's face it, if we actually have a system in place where the schools have to compete for the child that goes with the money, then you're going to get a better education out of it. There's no reason for us to be so far behind in education. And if you look at the numbers, if you look at the testing, if you look at the results since 1978, when the Department of Education was put into place, then to now, it's ridiculous. Our government school system is failing our students, is failing our kids. They're teaching them stuff that we don't agree with. They're doing things outside of the control of the parent. I mean, we're the parents, right? You're the parent of the child. So why is it they are taking it upon themselves to do things behind your back? It's not right. And there should be an overhaul of the Department of Education that should be flat out removed on the federal scale. It should be. I'm a definite supporter of doing away with the Department of Education, taking that power and putting it back in the hands of the states where it belongs, as per the 10th Amendment, as per the Constitution. That's where it belongs. You're never going to convince me otherwise. I'm sorry, but you're not. If you're a supporter of the federal Department of Education, let me know why. Because I'm kind of curious where you stand on that and why. I want to know. I went to school during a time, I was born in 78. And during the time that I was going to school, I witnessed firsthand the transition in how education was being implemented. Because during my tenure in school, they were changing it from teaching children how to think to teaching children what to think. Call it what you want, but that's indoctrination. There's a difference between teaching children how to, critical thinking, teaching children how to think, teaching children how to learn, how to research, how to find answers to questions they have on the day-to-day. There's a difference between teaching children how to think and teaching children what to think. And when you change your form of education from that to the other, what you are doing, in short, pure and simple, is indoctrination. And that's what we have today. I mean, it's kind of sad whenever people from North Korea come over here and it's like, holy crap. You guys do better at indoctrination what they do in North Korea. A communist power. A communist nation. How sad is that? So yes, we need to improve our education system. We absolutely do. The next section in here is on debunking lies. Excuse me, I had to cough real quick. Oh, that coffee is good. Now, again, I'm getting all this information right from project2025.org/truth, and I highly recommend going over there and looking at this for yourself. You can check out the document in its full. It is 922 pages. Holy crap, I understand it's huge. But this page, project2025.org/truth, it simplifies everything and makes it a lot more easier to read. They break it down. They put it in here. And that's where I'm getting this information from. So debunking the lies, Project 2025 is a plan from Trump. Well, that's false. He has openly said that this is not his plan. He doesn't endorse Project 2025. But again, there are things in here that he does support, that he does want to do. But Project 2025 in its entirety is not something that is endorsed by Trump. In the government section, to terminate the Constitution, false. I mean, come on, people. Project 2025 was written by the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is, part of a conservative think tank. No, they don't want to dismantle the Constitution. In fact, they want to bring us back to a more constitutional form of government. That is the exact opposite of trying to terminate the Constitution. Give the government more power over our daily life? No, it doesn't wish to do that. I mean, we've already talked about that in regards to the deep state. It wants to bring us back to a more conservative, constitutional form of government. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if it is power that was not specifically given to the government and or restricted to the states, these powers, this authority belongs in the hands of the state. Period. End of story. That's what it says in the Constitution. Another one in here for under government in there is that Project 2025 wants to gut democratic checks and balances on presidential power. That as well is false. We have three but separate co-equal branches of government. Each is designed to act as a check on the power of the other. That's the way our government was founded. That's how our form of government was designed. No branch is supposed to be held above or separate from any other. They are co-equal branches of government. Checks and balances, so that this way you don't have a runaway Congress. You don't have a runaway judicial branch. You don't have a runaway executive branch. There are supposed to be checks on every power in the federal government. The next section in here is regarding civil rights. Ban books and curriculum about slavery. False. Of course that's false. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you heard some of these facts? Okay. Because Abraham Lincoln was the president that was responsible for the Emancipation Proclamation, the whole freeing of the slaves. Did you know that President Abraham Lincoln was a Republican? When was the last time you heard that? When was the last time you heard that it was the Democrat Party that was the party of slavery? The Democrat Party was the party of segregation. The Democrat Party was the party of internment camps. The Democrat Party was the party of Jim Crow. When was the last time you heard that? It's not the Republican Party that wishes to lie about our nation's past. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that we want a restoration of our past. I mean, granted, our past isn't full of sunshine, unicorns, and rainbows. It's not. There's a lot of things in our past that, as a nation, we shouldn't be, let's just say we should be ashamed of. But if you ignore the past, then you're dooming the country to repeat the past. We need to be aware of what happened in our past. We need to do this. We need to teach it. We need to teach it openly. So that this way we don't fall into the same patterns that we fell into in the past. We need to protect our history. We need to teach our history. And the Republican Party doesn't want to ban books or curriculum about slavery. In fact, we want an open and honest debate about it. We want the truth to be spread. And don't run away from it like the Democrat Party has been doing by trying to tell you that it was the Republican Party that was the party of slavery, because no, that's false. They're the ones that's trying to cover this crap up. Continuing on with under the category of civil rights. Hold on, let me cough again. Excuse me. Okay. So continue to pack the Supreme Court and lower courts with right-wing judges. That, of course, is false. But let me be honest about something, okay? There is a difference in governing styles between the right-wing and left-wing parties, okay? Right-wing people, you're talking people whom are more conservative. We want to preserve the Constitution and go back to a more constitutional form of government. On a federal level, on a state level, all the way down the board, we want power to be given back to the people as it's supposed to be, in honor of not just the 10th Amendment, but the 9th Amendment. That's what we want. And it is the judicial branch, the judges, that are supposed to be the non-political version of government, because their whole job, now again, this is something that I've talked about on previous episodes, so I'm not going to rehash this here, but you have, or at least I'm not going to go in depth about it. You have the legislative branch, part of two houses, where it is the senators whom represent the states. You have the House of Representatives that represent the people of each individual state. You have the executive branch that represents the country as a whole. And then you have the judicial branch, and they represent the Constitution. And it is a check on the other two branches, and of which case, if a law that is passed that goes against the Constitution, then that law is struck down. If it is an act that is done by the executive branch that is unconstitutional, something that they are not supposed to do, then the judicial branch has an obligation to strike down what the executive branch is doing. Kind of like whenever the Biden and Harris administration wanted to end school debt. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives them the power to do that. Nothing at all. They don't have the power to do that. In fact, the purse strings are actually controlled by the House of Representatives. So regardless, he can't do it. The Biden-Harris administration, no administration, can just do that on their own whatsoever. The Supreme Court, their job is to represent the Constitution. We want constitutional conservatives in the Supreme Court because that's their job, to represent the Supreme Court. Now, I'm sure that I'll touch base more on this one later, but let's go ahead and move on. To end civil rights, no, absolutely not. That's not something that the Project 2025 is promoting. The end of civil rights, absolutely not. We want more civil rights. We want to go back to a nation that more resembles the Constitution. You don't do that by ending civil rights. In fact, you do that by promoting civil rights. In DEI protections in government, absolutely true, and I stand behind that 110%. When did it become controversial to believe that the most important thing that you can do as a company, as a government, as a department, whatever, in your promotion and hiring techniques is to make it to where the only thing you have to do is check the right box? Whether it be your race, your preferred pronoun, your gender, your whatever. Since when did that become the most important thing? It's stupid and it's ridiculous, because what you end up having is people whom are not capable of doing the job that they are into the position to fill. That's what happens when you go outside of a merit-based plan. Then all you have are people whom are not qualified to do the job that they're being paid to do. Period. End of story. You're never going to convince me otherwise. I mean, come on. Kamala Harris was a crap candidate. There's a reason she did so poorly, because she was the DEI hire. Biden even came out and said it. The only reason why he picked her for the VP slot was because she had a pooty poo and she had more melanin in her skin. And that's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone. That's what she got hired for. That's it. She was the DEI hire. And she sucked. She was the border czar. Did she do anything to protect the border? No, she opened it wide the hell up. Since when did it become good practice for a company to not care about merit whatsoever? Somebody's ability to do the job, to do it well. Somebody that actually cares in the job that they're doing, is good at the job that they're doing, who has educated themselves in the job for the position that they're doing. Since when did the only thing that was necessary for advancement, for hiring, was DEI? I have no idea. But those type of protections should be ended in government. Period. End of story. Because don't we want people whom are capable of doing the job, that are good at doing the job? Aren't those the people that we want in there making decisions on policy? Absolutely it is. And if you say otherwise, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're a fool. If the only thing you care about is DEI, I mean, holy crap, people, you deserve the government you have had for the past 4 years. You deserve the government you voted for. If that's what you voted for, then you deserve that government. Are you happy with how things have been run for the past 4 years? I myself am not. I have seen nothing more than a continuous slide in how everything has been handled since Biden Harris got into the White House. Another thing that Project 2025 promotes is expedite capital punishment. I agree with that. I really do. Because right now we have a bunch of people, DAs, we have attorney generals, whatever, people that are not interested in actually enforcing the law. We have more rights to criminals than what we have to victims. And that, I think, is just entirely, it's been going on for entirely too long. I mean, holy crap. How many people have you heard about in the past several years that have committed a crime and have just been let out without any bail whatsoever, being acted as though they didn't commit a crime whatsoever? It's been going on for quite some time, and it's ridiculous. We need to have a criminal justice system that actually believes in justice. And right now we have a justice system that actually gives more rights to criminals than to the victims. And the side effect of that is something that we have been seeing for years. Criminals being empowered to go out and commit more crimes, more severe, more heinous crimes. Crime is on the rise. And when you look about how the criminal justice system has been operating, then it's no wonder as to why. And it's a joke. We need to go back to a form of punishment where not only the punishment fits the crime, but the punishment for crimes acts as a deterrent, so people don't want to commit crimes, or at least are afraid of the punishment if they get caught committing the crimes. Yeah, you may come out with a more capable level of criminal, but I mean, come on, just how often does that actually happen? Criminals are stupid. Just throwing that out there. Eventually, you're going to get caught. And if we have a criminal justice, okay, let's put it this way. Not that I would promote a communist nation. But whenever you have criminals over in, oh, let's say China, people in China don't commit crimes thinking they're going to get away scot-free. In fact, quite the opposite. You know, whenever you have people over there that commit crimes, they fully expect to get caught. Over here, let's just look for, you know, in the category of murder. Over half the murders go unsolved. Is it because of the incompetence of our criminal justice system? Is it because of the incompetence of our police officers? Is it because of the incompetence of the fact that we put more protections to criminals than what we have for victims? I think that may be part of it. And any way you look at it, that needs to end. I don't remember who said it, but a society can be judged by its inmates. That doesn't sound very promising to me. It really doesn't. The next part in here with Project 2025 is that they want to cut military benefits for veterans and service members, including housing, TRICARE, retirement, and secondary education. Well, that's false. It's a false premise. That's not something that Project 2025 is hoping to do. Now, me personally, when it comes to our servicemen and women, these are people whom put their lives on the line. They put their freedom on the line. They chose to sign the dotted line and serve our country here or abroad to defend freedom. You have people that are just crossing over the border and they are getting, you know, free housing, free medical, free gender reaffirming care. They're getting free food. They're getting free everything. And in the meantime, what are we giving our veterans and service members? We're kicking them out onto the street. That to me is a travesty, is something that should not be allowed to continue. What we need to do is cut benefits for illegal aliens coming over here. We have no obligation to protect these people in any way, shape, or form. We have no obligation to house them, to clothe them, to feed them, to get them well and take them into hospitals, take them into, you know, schools and teach them. We have no obligation to do this. In fact, we have a government mandate to ship their ass back home. But what we do have is an obligation to our men and women who have served this nation faithfully to make sure that they are housed, that they are educated, that they are taken care of medically and in their retirement years. We have an obligation to do that for them. The fact that we're kicking these people out on the street with nothing and are just giving all these benefits over to illegal aliens who have no business being here whatsoever is a travesty, and it needs to end immediately. You're never going to convince me otherwise. Especially whenever you take into account that, you know, we give all this money away in the form of, you know, aid, assistance to these various nations. And in the meantime, they're shipping their people up here and we're virtually paying for them twice. It's ridiculous. This next section is dealing with marriage and family. You have the Project 2025 wishes to end no-fault divorces. That is false. Project 2025 wants to end marriage equality. That is false. Complete ban on abortions without exemptions. That too is false. Project 2025 does not call for that. Project 2025 wants to ban contraceptives. That, again, is false. Ban IVF. That is false. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know what IVF is. India Victor Foxtrot. I have no idea what that is. I mean, I guess I could look it up, but I don't know what it is. Another false statement in here is that Project 2025 wants to condemn single mothers while promoting only traditional families. Like I said, that is false. to outlaw, excuse me, to outlaw pornography. That is true. I don't know exactly how far I go into that one. Freedom, by the way, freedom, absolutely. Okay. Where I think they need to outlaw pornography, and in my humble opinion, is in schools, is in education. Why are we teaching our children about something that should be left up to the parents on how and when they wish to have the birds and the bees conversation with their children? I mean, if you can't go to a school board hearing and read about the books that are available to read to our children because it is provocative, because it's pornographic material, then that should tell you something about what's available for our children to read. That's just my opinion. But the place where I'd like to see pornographic material outlawed is in the schools. I really do. They have no business teaching our children that. At best we had healthcare where we learned about the differences, the biological differences. And of which case, yeah, they exist. And I think that was in the 5th grade, if I'm not mistaken, health class. That's as far as they went back in my day. Never mind. So that's my view on that one. Moving on, under healthcare, you have End the Affordable Care Act, of which case that is false. I got to be honest with you. I wish they would end the Affordable Care Act, because here's the thing, okay? We have never seen, okay, I'm in my mid-40s, okay? I have never seen in my lifetime a capitalist system regarding healthcare. I've never seen it. I don't know what that looks like, because the government has had some type of rule and regulation in place for as long as I can remember. I would like to see the government completely get out of it. They should not be picking winners and losers. They should not be, putting these different things in place in order, to have different safeguards, making it to where, people with pre-existing health issues can still be covered. Then that to me is a win. They should be doing that. And I mean, think about it. If they open the free market up completely to where you have competition, it only takes one company out there to charge a price, to make everybody pay that price, and to have these options that everybody wants to pay for. Because you're going to have companies that don't operate that way, and, well, people aren't going to get those type of health care that they don't want. They're not going to pay for things that they don't want, and we shouldn't be forced to pay for things that we don't believe we should be paying for. I would like to see a capitalist type of a system with our healthcare. I mean, here's the thing. Can I be honest with you about something? Let's say this pen, okay? This pen right here. It's a nice pen. It's a Parker pen, the arrow. It's a Parker. It's an excellent pen. I like these pens. It's got, the gel insert in here, it's a great pen. It really is. You can go online right now and you can look up how much this pen costs you. At time of checkout, you can find out how much it's going to cost to ship this pen to you. Depending on how much money you spend will determine on if you can get free shipping or not free shipping. You can find out where this pen is available for you to go and buy. Go to the store, pick it up. And again, you're going to know right then and there, before you even get this pen, what it's going to cost you. And it doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter where you stand economically on how much money you make. It doesn't matter. The pen cost what the pen cost. Now imagine this pen was sold at a hospital. You know what you're not going to find associated with this pen? Price. Because the cost of healthcare depends on what type of insurance you have. if you have insurance. Do you have insurance through the Affordable Care Act? Do you have, whatever that is, .gov? Is that where you're getting your insurance from? Do you have insurance from this insurance company, from that insurance company? Do you have no insurance at all? Are you going to be paying all of this money out of pocket yourself? Or are they going to have to go through the insurance company? Those all determine how much money you're going to pay for your care, for whatever pill you're getting, for anything. You don't know how much something costs you until they have all that information based off of how much money you make, your socioeconomic status. All this changes things. Why? Can you give me one good reason as to why? Now, granted, I know why. I know why there's such a huge fluctuation in how the price is determined. I know why that is. Because whenever you're going to Walmart and you're purchasing a TV, everybody who goes there and purchases a TV is expected to pay the price of that TV. Whatever that price is, everybody is forced to pay that price. But in the realm of healthcare, for some reason, you have people that think that it is their civil right to be able to force you as a doctor to have gone to school for free, to have learned the skills necessary to properly diagnose whatever it is that ails you, to put you under the knife in surgery, to, recommend pharmaceuticals that is going to help you and improve the years of your life, that they for some reason should work for free for your benefit, that you shouldn't have to pay for that care. I'm sorry, is anybody asking you to work for free, or do you think that you should be paid for the time you spent in school, learning whatever trade it is that you learned, to be paid and compensated for the years spent learning whatever trade it is that you have? We all want those raises. We all want to be compensated for our skills. We all want to get raises. We all want to make as much money as possible. But yet, for some reason, in healthcare with doctors and nurses, that they should for some reason be forced to work for free because you demand healthcare. Since when do you have the right to demand that somebody else work for free for your benefit? Fuck you. You're the reason why I have to pay a huge price in healthcare. It's ridiculous. Change my mind. And the day that you're willing to work for free and no longer earn a paycheck on something, that'll be the day that I take that your recommendations on healthcare and the prices of healthcare. Otherwise, why don't the federal government just get the hell out of healthcare, and then it'll be more affordable for everybody? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say all that out loud? My bad. My bad. Raise prescription drug costs. No, Project 2025 does not wish to do that. I think it's a load of crap that you can get some medications overseas for like, $10, and then over here. And this is, again, because of how insurance is allowed to operate, because people are forced, that they make doctors and nurses work for free, that the prices for some medications cost so stinking much. Prices for medication cost so much, not because the government says that it should, but because there are people out there that demand free health care and thinks that that's how it should be. You want prices to go down? Why don't you open up free market health care? Then prices will go down. It's that freaking simple. Education and free and discounted school lunch programs, that is false. And I agree with that, especially whenever you have children that are, that is going to school paid for by the government, then the government should pay for these school lunch programs. It's a sad reality, but some children that are going to school, the only good meal that they get is the one that is provided to this, to them from the school. That should be free. All across the board, it should be part of the tuition that is paid. It should be. I completely agree with that. Across the board, whether it be a private or government school, part of your tuition should include the lunch program. I think it should. Tell me what you think about that. Use public taxpayer money for private religious schools. Absolutely. And I think they should be doing that as well, because I think the money that is spent for educating your child should be spent where the child wants to go to school. Somebody should not be forced to go to the government school, because the government school may not be the best option for your child to go to get the best education possible. You should have the choice. You should have, the school should be forced to compete for that money. And if they're forced to do that, then you will see better education provided by the schools, whether it be a private school, whether it be the government school. You're going to get a better quality of education if the schools have to earn that money. Shut down the Department of Education. Absolutely true. I talked about that in a previous episode. Economy and workers to cut Social Security. False. Well, you know what? Look, Social Security is ending anyway. We might as well just come to that realization. I would like to cut Social Security. Now, again, as I talked in the previous episode, cut Social Security to people whom have already paid into the system and are retired? Absolutely not. But to make it to where people whom have not paid into the system be forced to pay into the system, yeah, I think they shouldn't be forced to do that anymore. They should get that money given back to them so that this way they can choose and decide how they want that money to be invested. They should get the option. It shouldn't be up to government to, just do it for themselves, especially considering they suck at spending the money. And that's why the Social Security money in the coffers is, well, it's going to be bankrupt here before too much longer. We've talked about that. Let's go ahead and move on. Eliminate unions and worker protection. That is false. And, I'm going to be honest with you on this one too. What I would like to see is all across the board, every single state being a right to work state. The fact that working any job and you are forced to be part of a union, I think is complete garbage. I think it's trash. And I am really against government employees being allowed to be in a union. I think that is complete crap, because what you have is like, the police union, they donate money to one party or the other, getting that whole kickback, getting their pockets lined, and of which case, no. If you're a government employee, then no. I'm paying taxes on your salary. Now I got to pay taxes, go to a union that doesn't really care what I think, that doesn't protect me. All it does is protect you. All it does is donate money to one candidate or another based off of what they want. No, I'm not for that. I'm not for that whatsoever, by any way, shape, or form. If a church who has tax-exempt status cannot openly support one political party over another, one candidate over another, if they're not allowed to do that, and if they do that, then they can get their tax-exempt status revoked, then why in the hell is my tax dollars going to a government employee that union dues are coming out of them, that they have free right and free ability to go ahead and donate money to one campaign or another? That is a bunch of shit. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. Another falsehood is that Project 2025 wishes to raise the retirement age. That, too, like I said, is false. I don't want retirement age to go up. I want to retire whenever I'm still young enough to enjoy my retirement. Why would I want to wait until I'm old, decrepit, and can barely move before I retire? That's a bunch of crap, and I think every one of you would agree on that one. Now, we're almost done. Project 2025 wishes to cut Medicare. That is false. What I would like to see is Medicare not be open to people, again, that have not paid into the system. There's a difference between helping somebody who doesn't want to get off their butt and work and helping somebody who can't get off their butt and work. There's a difference. There's a difference between paying for somebody's medical expenses whom have paid into the system, that is being provided from, versus somebody whom just jumps across the border and demands that the government pays for them. There's a difference. And I think that should be looked at. Project 2025 wants the mass deportation of illegal immigrants. That is absolutely true. And holy crap, do I not agree with that one? I absolutely do. We need to get rid of these people that have come across the border and get rid of them in droves. And I know some of the arguments in this one, I really do. You know, oh, you don't want to separate families. Hey, look, you know what? Whenever you rob a bank, what's one of the last things that is part of the jury's mind whenever they are talking about sentencing after you've been found guilty? Well, it's not whether or not they're going to be separating a father from their family, or a mother from their family, or a child from their family. That's the last thing they're thinking about. Whenever you commit a crime and you're found guilty, as an American citizen, being separated from your family is just part of it. As it should be. It's part of the punishment. People who have come across the border illegally, they're criminals. They've broken our immigration laws. Now, if they are, the children of whom were born here, and you're going to call them American citizens, okay, fine. You don't want to separate the family, then fine. Send the kid back home to the country of their parents' origin. Do that. Nothing says you have to separate the family. Ship them all back. When that child reaches 18 years of age, they can choose to come back here. That's fine. But in the meantime, there's nothing on the books that says they have to stay here. What are you going to do? Force the child to stay here because they are a natural-born United States citizen? Are you going to choose to separate the family? No, that would be stupid. And energy and environment. Project 2025 wishes to deregulate big business in the oil industry. Well, that's mostly true. Deregulate big business, abso-freaking-lutely. I agree with that. Deregulating the oil industry, I agree with that to an extent, and I mean, look, I don't want, I do agree with a lot of, I agree with some of the regulations, because again, I believe in clean energy. I believe in doing it better than everybody else. I agree with having clean air and clean water. These are things that I want absolutely, wholeheartedly. Yes, I believe in these things. However, I understand that the regulatory process is a business of itself. It's pretty sad that we live with a government where people like Steve Jobs, people like Bill Gates has said that in today's environment, there wouldn't be Apple. There wouldn't be Microsoft, that it would be impossible to do that now. And what these different people have become are gatekeepers through the very success that they themselves had. I find there to be something wrong with that. I just do, just being honest with you. Do I believe that there should be some regulation in business and oil industry, in any industry? Absolutely. There needs to be something. But right now, the regulatory, it's bloated. You've got nothing but red tape and hoops that you got to jump through, and it's gone to a point of being ridiculous. It really is. Project 2025 wants to increase Arctic drilling. Absolutely. That is true. And I agree with that. Hell, one of the reasons why we bought Alaska was for the oil up in them there hills. Why aren't we tapping that? Why aren't we tapping that? Why not? That's what we bought it for in the first place. I mean, how much of Alaska is not residential, commercial area? I mean, how much is it do people not live in? I mean, holy crap. There's a lot of land up there. We should be utilizing that land for the betterment of the entirety of the country. Why aren't we using it? Increase the drilling up there. I couldn't agree more. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes everything that is on project2025.org/truth. Now, here's the thing. The question, or at least the comment that I received, was about being scared of Project 2025. What about Project 2025 concerns you? I would like to know. Let me know down in the comments. Of course, you can go over to Spreaker.com and put your comment over there in this episode. You can go over to the HoHoShow.com and put in the comment in the Contact Us section. Or, of course, you can email me, HoHo@theHoHoShow.com, and let me know. I'm pretty sure this concludes the, how did I word that? The comment section. I think that concludes these. I think this is the last one, and this was the longest one. Absolutely it was. There was a lot to talk about in this one. There really was. Because Project 2025 isn't something I really read into. It wasn't something that President Trump came out and endorsed. This was something that was done by the Heritage Foundation. But this is also something that has been done since the 1980s. A kind of policy recommendations for an incoming administration to bring us back to a conservative, more constitutional form of government. That's what Project 2025 is all about. It's not about eliminating freedom. It's about protecting freedom. So I hope we've clarified some of the things regarding Project 2025. But again, if there's something about Project 2025 that scares you, that worries you, that you don't agree with, let me know down in the comments. And of course, you can go to project2025.org and find out the truth for yourself regarding Project 2025. So that's all I got for y'all today. I thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this and are a little more aware. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your feedback. I really, really do. Y'all have yourself a good one, and I will see you in the next one. This has been The HoHo Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpikle.com. Until next time.